Welcome. It's great to have you with us for the Knights of the Roundtable podcast. This is episode number 13. Been a lot of fun this year. Lots of different stories, athletes. Just remember, you can find the links and clips to all our episodes across our social media platforms. Search at BU Knights. We're recording this in the first week of April, and you know what that means, golf fans. Masters Week. Even if you aren't a golf fan, it's still phenomenal. We'll talk about that and more with our guest today from the men's golf team, redshirt junior, Jensen Klondike. Jensen, how are you today, my man?
Not too bad. Glad to be on here.
Happy
Masters Week.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, this is like Super Bowl week for the golf community, right?
My dad is already locked and loaded right now. He works at home, and he's got live from on 24/7 at this point, this whole week.
Golf Channel, all of it is an absolute must for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a tournament this weekend, but our coach got us some morning tee time, so we'll be ready for Masters Sunday. Watch the afternoon madness, so it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm guessing you saw all the pictures of Tiger's practice round on Monday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually had a friend he was a former golfer here. He went to the Masters for the first time, and man, he'd had a couple of pictures, and they were 20 rows deep on practice rounds. That's unheard of. I
mean, why do you think he's been that gravitating over the course of his career? How could you describe it as someone who's close to the game?
I mean, he's just an icon for everyone. You know, he's given so much to the game, and for him to be back and everyone supporting him, wanting him to make that comeback from that tragic car accident he had, it's just something everyone wants to witness and be a part of, and he's just so great for the game. And I think that's why he brings in so many people.
You know, I was listening to people talk about like Mount Rushmore athletes, and you could argue right now, maybe alongside LeBron, first name basis, worldwide, everybody knows who you are. I mean, Tiger Woods might be number one. Do you think that?
Yeah, I mean, golf has gotten so popular in other places all around the world, especially like Korea and Japan. You just had Hideki win the Masters last year.
Right.
Japanese golf is off the charts, and other places too. I mean, you got to think. I'd say either Tiger or maybe Ronaldo.
Yep.
Messi. Soccer's obviously, that's probably the most popular sport in the world, but Tiger's got to be up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Basketball, it's not super popular in some places, but obviously LeBron's an icon too.
You bring up a good point about soccer. I mean, I think of LeBron maybe in China. Like, basketball's really popular over there now, obviously in North America. But you're right. The way that the game of golf has gone international and how we've seen the Ryder Cup, kind of blow up between Europe and the United States. Do you pay attention to international golf at all? Is that a thing?
A little bit. The European Tour will sometimes be on when right when you wake up.
Yeah.
It's something to watch, and you can catch some good golfers because obviously European Tour isn't as strong as the PGA Tour. It's really close, but there's a couple players my dad and I've like kind of pinpointed, and one of them was Brooks Koepka. He started out in the European Tour before he really made a name for himself on the tour and won some majors. We watched him on European Tour, and that's something we paid attention to, and it's a little different style of golf, but it's just as good.
Is he your favorite golfer?
Koepka? No, probably not. I like him a lot, but I'm more of a Rory guy.
Rory?
Yeah,
okay.
It's been a struggle these past couple of years.
Yeah.
Hasn't won a major, but to see him do it at Valhalla, that was awesome. We were there that Sunday, and he's just one of those guys. You watch his swing, you can literally watch it all day. It's perfect, and it just comes off the face different. I've seen him a couple times. I've been to the Masters, and the BMW Championship was another one I went to up in Chicago, and just watching him hit, it's unreal. I mean, you could watch it all day.
It is. It's one of the purest swings that I've ever seen, and I can't say I'm a golf fanatic.
If he had a putter, he'd be doing Tiger things. Hot take, but
yeah,
I think it's true.
Okay, maybe we should send that to him directly. Rory, just start putting, baby.
Just get that putter, man.
I went to the BMW Championship one year up in Indianapolis. I'm from Carmel, Indiana, just north of Indy, and they had it there at Crooked Stick one year. And we walked through this tree line. Sorry, we had tickets, but we decided to go through a tree line of a backyard of someone we knew. Anyways, and we walk out to this green, and like we're literally standing 15 feet away from Rory McIlroy. Like we had no idea what hole we were walking onto, who we would see, and boom, there's Rory. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, there's so many fun events with golfs, but Masters obviously takes the house. So you said you've been to the Masters before.
Yeah, and it was actually a crazy deal the first time I went. It was 2015, I believe, and wasn't a great day for weather. You know, you always picture when you go to the Masters, you wish you could just get that perfect day just to really take it all in. Well, it was pouring down rain, and there were storms in the area. And right when we got there, we actually went a little bit out of the way to see Magnolia Lane. That's the entrance the players make. It's got this tree-lined tunnel, I should say, that the players go through, and it's pretty cool. But we actually went out of the way to go see it because it's not really by the where the patrons enter, and we checked that out. And then at the time he's still one of my favorites, but Adam Scott, he was my favorite player at the time, and we were literally checking out Magnolia Lane. There's hardly anyone around, and here comes Adam Scott walking across the road to the Titleist trailer to get one or two clubs bent or something. And it was just crazy because it was literally my family and Adam Scott just standing there talking and just having a conversation like we were long lost friends. It was pretty sweet. And then, for that to happen, it was awesome. We got our pictures, talked to him and everything. So then we go back to the entrance. We're in there for not even 10 minutes. The horns start blasting and they tell everyone to leave. And the weather, the rest of the day was just horrible, where like nobody got back in. And I don't know if it was the first time ever, but it might have been. They gave refunds to the people who went to that practice round day. I think it was a Tuesday we went, and we got to go the next year, and we got that ideal day to really take it all in. So we got kind of lucky, but it was obviously pretty disappointing at the start. But if we hadn't met Adam Scott, I mean, it would have been even worse.
I was going to say, at least you got to meet like your favorite guy.
Exactly, because we went to a restaurant like right after everyone evacuated, and we were at a table next to some people from Washington who came all the way from there to go to the Masters, and 10 minutes done. Because we got there early. I just couldn't believe how early it stormed all day. It was just a horrible day of weather.
Watching on TV and the pictures that I've seen and getting accounts from my dad who's been to a practice round and others, the grass is like carpet. Everything is absolutely perfect. And your opinion's probably going to be formed around the second time you went when you were able to stick around and the nice day. I mean, are those rumors or are those reports true? Like, is everything absolutely perfect there?
Yes. Even, compared to the PGA, as far as it being clean, it's on a different level. The bathrooms were insane. Even the wrappers, everything's green. So if you happen to not, to drop something, then even that's green, and it kind of blends in with the grass.
Right.
And I'll tell you what the craziest thing to me was just the elevation changes there. I mean, it was so hilly. And that's what I think about too this year with Tiger playing, because I've seen him walk on TV and it doesn't look fully recovered. But man, for him to do that walking on that hilly course, it's going to take a lot for him to win. I think he can still have a good tournament, but yes, as far as Augusta living up to the hype, it is there. I mean, it's the best golf course on the planet.
What's second best?
I'm a little biased here, but I'd probably go Medina. Up in Chicago. I've been there twice, and that's actually kind of where I really fell in love with golf. I mean, I had been playing for a little bit. My dad played at U of L, so I've grown up golf in the blood. But yeah, I went to that Ryder Cup in 2012, and that place was unreal. We saw a lot of drama there on that Sunday. I don't know if you knew, but USA blew the worst lead in Ryder Cup history there. But
I've heard of it. Yep.
yeah, for what it's worth, though, my favorite players are all on Team Europe, so I wasn't that disappointed. But yeah, that was where the BMW was too. I went there a couple of years ago. I watched Rory a little bit, but that course it's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard it's spectacular up there in
Yeah.
Chicago. So you mentioned golf's in the blood. When'd you start swinging? What age?
Probably 3 or 4.
Whew.
Yeah, pretty young. Just going to the driving range up to Hunting Creek. For what it's worth, though, I mean, baseball was kind of my thing growing up until pretty much till I went to that Ryder Cup. I was probably 13.
Okay.
That was when I started getting into the tournaments and everything.
So you stopped baseball around 13?
Yeah, I went through middle school, so probably more like 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you always had a pretty good idea, golf's what I want to do with my life. Or
yeah,
the first part of my life.
Yeah, when I started that Ryder Cup. Yeah, I mean, I loved everything about the energy there. A lot of clutchness that needed to be made, and it was fun to watch. I wanted to be a part of it. I love competing and just seeing what you can do individually. It's a good test in life.
Right. I mean, it seems like such a challenging and frustrating sport at times because, I mean, you could argue it's the hardest sport because everyone tries to do it and almost everyone comes away upset, yet it takes that one shot.
Yep.
You're like, oh, wow, I struck that, and boom, I want to go back.
Yeah, there's even, pro athletes, big-time athletes that'll pick up golf, and they say it's harder than their own sport. Like I think I saw Tom Brady when he came out of retirement he was saying how football was a lot easier than golf, so he's going to come back to the Bucks, play some more football.
I mean, if Michael Jordan's addicted to it, it must be challenging because, I mean, that dude just wants a challenge constantly.
Exactly. Yeah, you can have. I'd say the most frustrating part is how quick things can change. You can really feel like things are working out as far as your swing. Maybe you're striping it on the range, you're feeling good, and then it can just flip like a light switch. The opposite can happen too, though. I mean, I've had tournaments. I mean, this was a junior tournament when I was probably like 15, but that week going into the tournament, I was hitting it so bad. I literally almost withdrew. I was hitting it so bad. I get in the tournament, and I shot like 3 under, and then the next day I ended up shooting 1 or 2 over, ended up in a playoff and won. I mean, it's just crazy. And then I've had rounds where I'm warming up on the range and I don't miss a shot, and then I go shoot 5 over. I'm like, what are we doing here? But yeah, it's challenging, but when you love it, I mean, you love it. So you just keep going at it, keep chopping the wood, is what one of my swing coaches said. So keep chopping that wood.
I mean, why do you think that is? Not the chopping wood part. I've heard that from Chuck Pagano, the Colts coach, plenty of times. The fact that it can change good or bad on a dime. I mean, is it just mental, or is it really just totally up to chance?
I'd say there's a little bit of both. You can definitely kind of get in your own way. Everyone says with putting especially, like it's 90% mental, which I'd say I'd probably go like 75% mental, because obviously you got to have some technique, or you're not gonna consistently produce the putts you want. But yeah, I mean, competitive golf is a lot more of a different feeling than just practicing, and I think something that's helped me this past couple of years, I've started playing a lot better this past couple of years than I have and when I was like a freshman or sophomore here. My swing coach, he's really changed my practice routines to make them more competitive and make them like really challenging. So then I get out on the course and it doesn't feel as difficult. I'll give you an example for putting. He's been wanting me to do these like 10-foot and 6-foot circles where I get like 10 ball marks around the hole, and I set targets now of how many I want to hit out of 10. For the 6 feet, the goal is 10 out of 10. But yeah, I mean, you'll start getting down to the last 2 or 3 putts, and you'll be feeling it just as much, maybe even more than in a tournament, because you've told yourself you're not leaving till you get that done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where you build that grit to eventually bring into the tournaments.
I might steal that because I'm not a very good putter.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe layman's terms here, I slice almost everything I drive. What's an easy way to fix a slice for anyone listening out there?
Really simple would be kind of think about hitting the inside of the ball, because that means you're going to swing out to the right, which means if you start it right, you're naturally going to want to hook it back instead, because when you slice it, you're pulling across it, and it's going to start left and produce that left to right spin and just fire to the right. Another drill too is to think about to produce that hook shot, that hook feel, is to actually hit one or two where your right foot is way behind you.
Okay.
It'll literally force you to swing out to the right, because a lot of times if you're set up open, you're gonna naturally start it left.
So stay closed more?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll help fix the slice. I mean, at the end of the day, there's some alignment stick drills you can do where you'll literally just nail the stick if you cut across it, and it'll train your hands, but man, it hurts if you go over the top. I've done it before, man. It can drill your hand. Doesn't feel very good, but it'll force you not to do it, because you know how much it hurts if you mess up.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of a fun drill to do on the range.
Okay. I will keep that in mind. I don't play a whole lot, but I've always had this big slice, and I honestly know right now, until I put in the work, I can't change that, so I just aim left and hope it curves back
Yeah,
into the fairway.
sometimes you got to go with it sometimes. This last tournament we played in Butler, man, it was freezing. And when it's that cold, it's harder to turn your hands over. And that first day, I usually play a little draw, and it was starting left and cutting a little, and I was hitting it good. I was hitting a lot of fairways, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go with it for today.
Right.
So, yeah, sometimes just go with it, especially in a tournament.
You mentioned it was cold. I'm assuming you and most people play better when the weather's better, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a shoulder surgery. It was my freshman year. I had a torn labrum. Not really sure how I did it, but I went through the surgery, and I've had a full recovery. I'm feeling great now. But when it's colder, when you have more layers, it just mentally doesn't feel as good, because it just feels like you're putting a little more strain on it, because you're trying to get that full range of motion still, and it's also 40 degrees. So I definitely think it's a lot easier when it's warmer out. The cold, though, I will say, now that we're D1 playing against schools where most of them are south, Atlantic Sun.
Right.
I think we have a little bit of an advantage if it happens to be colder, because we're a little more used to it. We're in January and February, we're getting out whenever we can. We're not trying to use the indoor, because being outside is really simulating what you're going to do in a tournament at the end of the day. But yeah, it definitely is harder in the cold. But as far as tournaments right now, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast isn't playing in 40-degree weather with some rain.
Not. Yeah, there's really. I mean, EKU now, they're in the A-Sun.
Yeah, basically the same.
With it. Yeah, but I mean, pretty much everyone is south of us.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you guys are just tougher than them. That's the way it is.
Built different.
What's the best shot you've ever hit?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
If you've aced a hole, I assume it would be an ace.
I've never had a hole in one.
Okay.
I've come really close. One of them was in one of my first tournaments. It was super windy at Oxmoor. It was hole 8, and the wind was straight downwind, and I don't know how it stopped short. I mean, it was inches. The best shot, though, I can't think of one. Hit too many good ones, right?
Yeah, right.
Some bad ones too. I had a lot of clutch shots in a couple junior tournaments just coming down the stretch. There was this big tournament called the Junior Fall City, And ironically, we've talked about being a little grittier in the colder weather, rainier weather in this case. I was in the, I think, Sweet 16 at the time, and I was 3 down with 3 to go, and it started raining a little bit. And this guy I was playing, he was pretty good at the time. I was definitely an underdog. I was 3 down too.
Mm-hmm.
And it started raining, and I won the last 3 holes and went into a playoff. We ended up tying the first 3 holes. So now we're on our 21st, 22nd hole, and it was a par 3. This was at Shawnee, by the way. And one of the par 3s, we both hit the green, and I've got like 40 feet, and he has probably 15, and I drained the 40-footer on him, and he missed, and I won the playoff. So I'd say that was definitely something that felt pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you've had plenty of bad shots too. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Have you? I assume you haven't whiffed on a ball, especially at this level. But have you just like barely hit it 10 feet like almost everybody else in the world has?
Not really. I'd say my worst shots are just like, just hitting it in the water. I've had one. There was one. It was literally, this was in our first tournament this spring. I was actually paired with one of my friends who plays at Samford. He's from Louisville, went to St. X, and we're pretty good friends. We'll kind of give each other the jokes here and there. But the first hole we teed off on, it was like a 250 carry, which that shouldn't be a worry at all. But it was pretty windy that day, like coming straight in the face. And when I miss it like a little right, I don't catch it clean usually. It doesn't go that far. And the first tee shot I hit, it wasn't that bad of a shot, really, as far as accuracy. But I'm hitting it. I'm just watching it in the air. I'm like, man, that needs to go. And then just splash right at the end of the water. And it was a deal with the water where I didn't cross into it, where I could have like dropped up far. It was just a re-tee. But like I hit that tee shot, and then I look over at my friend, and he's just trying not to laugh, keeping it together, or not keeping it together. It was pretty funny. But yeah, there's some bad shots here and there. A couple have sadly been under, when I've kind of been in the mix for winning. One was this match we did against Jacksonville State and EKU. It was kind of like a icebreaker in a way for EKU and us to go down, because we had some pretty bad weather in January where we weren't getting out for qualifying for that first tournament. So we went down to Birmingham, and I'd say there were probably like 25, 30 people playing. So it wasn't like it was that big of a field or anything, like not a big tournament, but I had a really good round going. I was 4 under going on to the last hole, and I striped my tee shot down the middle, which was probably the hardest part of that hole. And all I needed to do was make par to win. And there's water all down the left by the green, and I had like a pitching wedge in my hand, and I just pulled the crap out of it into the water, made double, and then ended up losing by 1. So that didn't feel very good. But I think it's important to just learn from that and be confident that I was in the mix, kind of get acquire that taste of pressure. So
how do you keep yourself calm in those moments?
I've kind of acquired some breathing exercises this past year. This is totally different from golf, but there's a UFC fighter named Israel Adesanya. I don't know if you heard of him. Mm-hmm. Middleweight champ. His YouTube channel, he puts out a lot of stuff for, I don't know if it's for his competitors to see, but it's pretty crazy his tactics he puts out, for his competitors to see who he's going to be fighting. And but one of those was his breathing exercises. He's kind of emphasizing how it's almost as important, if not more important, to work on your respiratory exercises as far as, the breathing exercises and nose breathing. He actually, if you watch some of his fights, he literally doesn't even breathe out of his mouth. He's in that good of shape just from those breathing exercises. But it's as important to do those as, training your mind or your body, working out those respiratory exercises. And it's definitely helped me bring my heart rate down in those tournaments, because I used to wear this fitness band. It would give me my average heart rate during the rounds, and it was way too high, really. I mean, I'm talking 130, 140 range.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much on a run. And, yeah, those exercises have definitely helped me stay a little more calm under some pressure. I don't really feel that nervous anymore on, like, the first tee. I mean, I used to be pretty nervous for tournaments, even the night before, not sleeping as well. But I feel like that's changed a lot. It kind of gives you that peace of mind. It literally only takes 15, 20 minutes a day. And just to kind of, give your mind some peace, work on some breathing, and, be at peace with your own thoughts.
Yeah, you're trying to calm yourself down in a big moment where you're trying to win a tournament, where most of us are trying to calm ourselves down when the group behind us is watching. I mean, literally three people. So, hey, take the breathing exercises, use them however you want, but that's a good tip to help people out. Curious, what's the best round you've ever shot?
It was a 66. It was par 70, so it was only 4 under, but the course was actually a par 72 that they just turned into a par 70 for the tournament.
Okay.
So it felt like 6 under.
Yeah.
It was at EKU's tournament this past fall. I didn't play great the first round. I think I shot 4 over and then 2 over. Then I came back with 4 under that next day, 66, and it was tied for the low round of the day. I drained a 30-footer on my last hole. I hit a terrible tee shot, and I don't remember if I punched it or hit it over the trees, but I just maneuvered it to get on the green, and I was just banking on just get my 2-putt, shoot my 3 under, be happy, and so that 4 under was a nice surprise, making that putt at the end. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
66 is pretty strong.
Yeah.
What's the longest drive you've ever had?
Oh, I'm not that big of a hitter, especially after the shoulder injury, but I'd say in the 320 range. I've got a teammate.
That sounds pretty big to me.
Yeah, it's it's not bad, but I'll be playing in some tournaments and there'll be people pumping it past me 15 to 20. It's like, wow. Our teammate Sean DeWeese, man, he got really strong over COVID. And
did he go on the Bryson DeChambeau diet?
Basically, he beat Bryson to it. He might have more distance than Bryson right now after Bryson's injury, but we were literally in the indoor yesterday, and he was carrying at 340.
Oof.
130, 132 club head speed. I mean, that's insane. That's different. I mean, that's more yardage than Rory, more club head speed than Tiger. It's Bryson levels that he was doing. It's not always accurate when because he's in the indoor trying to get put up those numbers.
Right.
But even on the course, when he's toning it down a little bit, I mean, he's hitting it in 320 range.
It's cool to hear about that because you think like, okay, I mean, these are professional golfers we only see on TV, and then, I mean, you're not doing the same thing they are, but you're doing some of the same types of things they are with, I just carried it as long as Tiger Woods.
And it's cool, too, on PGA Tour tournaments now. They'll have TrackMans everywhere, which that's what gives those numbers, so you can see their ball speed and club head speed and kind of compare to what they're doing and see how much more they have than you. But I think something really cool that I've noticed just growing up, going to some of these tournaments here and there. I usually try and go to a tour event probably once every other year or so. But I'd say when I was 14 at the PGA, watching anybody hitting it just looked different.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up and, keep developing my game, the last one I went to was the BMW, which was my sophomore junior year. I didn't feel as phased when I watched everyone. Rory was different. There's people that stand out. John Rahm was another who the ball comes off pretty hot. But there were a couple guys I watched and I was like, I mean, this looks like me or one of my teammates hitting right here. When we were hitting it good. But I think that's kind of cool to see how your perspective changes. Either you getting better or just getting older. It could be both. It's
right.
Pretty cool.
I mean, it goes from physically and mentally, I mean, it's just different to, okay, physically we're kind of the same
Yeah,
now.
it's like I'm getting there.
But like the consistency they have and other things that they do is obviously what separates them as the best pros in the world.
The short game and their wedge games
Right.
are incredible. You rarely see them chipping outside of 5 feet unless they've just had a horrible lie or something. I mean, they're getting it in that range where they should make it majority of the time. And yeah, that's definitely what separates them. Statisticians are coming out and saying how much more important distance has become, which they're not wrong. I mean, you've seen that's how Bryson won the U.S. Open. He hit it past everyone, and even if he was in the rough, he was close enough where it wasn't that big of a deal. And but at the end of the day, yeah, they're short games. Those guys are just magicians out there.
You win with putting.
Yeah, exactly. You literally win with putting. It almost becomes a putting contest at some courses that aren't as hard. Augusta, it's not necessarily a putting contest. Obviously, you need it, but you get to some of these lower level PGA tournaments, and it is that way. The Barbasol, that course isn't. You can kind of scrape it around. I've played that Champions Trace. You can kind of scrape it around there, but if you're putting, you can still go low. And Augusta, though, if you're missing the fairway, you're punching out. There's just a lot of different stuff at Augusta. Amen Corner, all those holes, you literally have to ball strike your way through it. If you want to play under par or shoot par.
So what's your range putting wise where inside of this, okay, I should make this every time?
Every time? I like to think the 4 feet range. I missed a couple last week at Butler. That didn't feel too good. The tour average for 6 feet, believe it or not, it's only around 85%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and 10 feet's about a 50-50 shot.
Wow.
But the guys that are winning are putting beyond that.
Yeah.
It's getting that putter hot and making 10-footers at 70% instead of 50, and you get some low rounds going, making an occasional 20-30 footer. That's really what sets you apart from everyone else.
You hear 10 feet and it doesn't sound daunting, but then you think of it as the length of a basketball goal. It's like, okay, that's decent. Yeah. And then you add a bunch of break in there.
I know. Yeah, and whether you're up or downhill, it's a lot more complex than it sounds than just making a 10-footer. Because a lot of times, on the course, you'll hit one at 10 feet and you'll feel like you lost one if you didn't make it. But you got to look up to tour players. Like, man, these guys aren't making these every time. You got to kind of not let up, but not be so hard on yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You're not going to make them all. I mean, you're not going to make every 3 if you're playing basketball. So be a little easier on yourself with the 10-footers. Because even 6 feet, they're not making them every time.
You got to be easy on yourself to some degree in golf. I mean, that's just the way it is. So you mentioned that you've got a 5th year. Plans for next year and then after school?
My 5th year, that spring, I'm literally only going to have one class to take.
Nice.
So that'll be pretty nice and get the golf game going. And I'll see how things go. I've got a couple connections with some tax firms. There's some guys up at Standard who they've seen my work ethic and how much time I'm spending out there. That's my home course, by the way, Standard. So I might consider an internship with them in the spring when I only have one class to take.
Yeah.
We've got a really good coach this year. He's actually my 4th coach I've had since being at Bellarmine. It's been just a wild deal, but Scott Wiegand, he did a good job on this hire. We've got a keeper. We've got some good tournaments lined up, so I'll see how I do and go from there. But it should be a fun 5th year.
What do you like most about Justin?
He's a hell of a player. He actually, his claim to fame, he played in the USAM. He's played multiple times, but one year he was in the match play, which just to make match play is a great achievement. And he beat Xander Schauffele 7-6
Oh,
in a match.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he smoked him. But yeah, I really like how much time he's putting into getting us to practice more as a team. It's getting our team a lot closer, and we'll play a lot of matches against him too, just to get that competitive edge.
Right.
And he's good at freeing you up, because I used to be pretty technical on the course, and now I'm really not thinking about much at all. It's freeing, and he's got a pretty unorthodox swing, but it works, and it just goes to show how you don't need to be that technical to get the ball in the hole and to score well. So that's what I've liked about him.
Right. As long as you have that foundation, whatever it is, just mentally go from there. And
Yeah.
sounds like it's working for you guys.
Yeah, and it was interesting too, because this past summer I played in the state am and happened to be paired with him before he was even hired as the coach.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, man, this guy's a pretty good player, and I was really excited when we found out that he was becoming the coach.
I bet.
Yeah, he is not disappointed. He's got a lot of connections too, and that's why we're getting in some of these good tournaments. Right, next fall we're playing an NC State's tournament, big Power 5 ACC school, and we're getting to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Stronger fields, and it should definitely help get our rankings better if we show up and do what we're capable of doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things, man, around the university and with your program.
Yeah. How about the basketball team? Oh my gosh.
Awesome, dude. I mean,
that game was special. We had our whole team there, and just to see how packed we made Freedom Hall, that was a special night.
Yeah, that's something that will absolutely live in Bellarmine legend forever. And they could have played in a postseason tournament that wasn't the NCAA or NIT. And it would have been great to see him play more games, but I think it was almost fitting to kind of have that as the exclamation point of the year.
Almost, yeah. And I think, too, down the road, hopefully there will be a rule called the Bellarmine rule.
Yeah.
Put that in the history books. It'd be pretty special.
Yeah, hopefully they get that changed. I think they're meeting this month to potentially change it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of Davenport, though, our trainer, we were at workouts this morning, and he showed us a picture of him at the Masters. So.
I saw that on Facebook, yeah. Him, Russ, and Doug all went down there.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully he has a good time, get some good weather, and eat some pimento cheese sandwiches.
Pimento cheese sandwiches, that's the go-to?
That and the egg salad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take that as a mental note if I ever make it down to Augusta.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jensen, before you go, I had to ask this. I was going to ask it earlier, but we got off on a different conversation. Do you like Klondike bars?
The Oreo's the best one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you did. I mean, you had to try it with your last name.
I don't know how you don't like them. I haven't had one in a while, but yeah, the Oreo's the best.
Jensen Klondike likes the Oreo Klondike bars.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Well, Jensen, go hit some bombs, make some putts the rest of the year, and appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Jack.
Jensen Klondike. That does it for KRT episode 13. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on social media @BU Nights to hear from Jensen and all of our other guests. I'm Jack Kaiser, and Swords Up.